but rounding that out with more entertainment and recreation. You've got the lake and you've got a number of other activities that are recreational. Educational services, families and kids. So in downtown, you've got the middle school right there. There's a number of after-school programs, Kid Caso. So you already have families and parents and kids coming to do these things. Maybe that cluster could grow. And cultural institutions. So, you know, those kind of clusters are the first things that come to mind. And some business recruitment efforts, I think they can be informed by comparisons with other downtowns and with other commercial centers. So one of the things, you know, that we already mentioned, Wakefield's got less comparison goods, less healthcare, less professional science and technical. So that might be something to think about as you think about business recruitment. The other thing to think about is we're struggling. Our commercial corridors and our downtowns and business districts are struggling in a lot of areas. And one of the things that can be helpful is multi-channel retailing. And so encouraging multi-channel retailing and recruiting businesses that do multi-channel retailing. And what that is not only do they have a physical bricks and mortar footprint, but they also do e-commerce. And so this is a store from my neighborhood, and it's a very specialty little gifty, arty store, but it does really well because it also has a thriving e-commerce side of it. So it doesn't have to depend on all of its sales coming from walk-in trade. This kind of business requires a lot of foot traffic to stay in business because it's such a specialty, but the fact that they are doing business online as well. And some downtowns we're finding that they're a good place for businesses that want a showroom. They want to have a physical space that people can buy from, and they also act in some ways as a wholesaler. So other people that would buy from them, they do the buying, they showcase it, they have e-commerce, and then they do some wholesaling. And I think that's important to kind of take a look for those opportunities in downtown. Creating a business recruitment brochure. So that's something that we'd recommend. You know, you could, commercial property owners could use it, brokers could use it. When we were working with the task force, we came up with sort of a lot of locational advantages and good things. You know, why do business in downtown Wakefield? Good things about the location and the market. So you could highlight your best foot forward. And the other thing that we didn't talk about last time, but when I was preparing for tonight, I was kind of, you know, revisiting Wakefield in a lot of different ways. And it might be something to think about to change the Wakefield or add to the Wakefield website. It focuses on new residents, and there's not really a page for new businesses. So just something to kind of think about, that there would maybe be a page right up front that says new businesses or thinking about locating in Wakefield or something, which has information about how to start a business in Wakefield and who do you have to go to and what do you have to go through, what's the process for permits and whatnot. Maybe something about the town, something about the market and the demographics, things that would be attractive to businesses and that business would want to know. And most importantly, that it just presents a business-friendly environment. So people think about, you know, this is a town that is looking for new businesses. You could also post there specific kinds of businesses that you're looking for downtown. So just another kind of thing to think about. Making consumers more aware of shopping and dining and service options. I think when we were working last year on this, it seemed from our walking around and talking to folks that it wasn't clear to everyone all the services that were actually available in downtown. People that we talked to were continuously saying, you know what we should have downtown, and then they would name something. And I'd say, well, you've got two of those. You know, so I think making people more aware of what's here, and old school still works, you know, business directories and hard copy business directories, and new school also works. So websites or online directories. If you're looking for an example, this is from Natick Center, and I think they have a good example of a website that lists all the businesses in Natick Center. There's downtown apps, so there's lots of ways to communicate the businesses that are here. Because really with an economic development effort, a downtown development effort, we're trying to bring new businesses in, but we're trying to make them be successful, and we're trying to help existing businesses be successful. So part of the task is making sure people know what's here. And we're in the home stretch if you're getting a little bored. A couple more left. You know, I think one of the things, to be vibrant, businesses have to be open, number one. And number two, they have to look open. And so that's just kind of something to think about. And there might be some facades in downtown Wakefield that could be renovated or opened up a little bit, more glass, more transparency, a little bit more attractive. The other thing, regular posted hours and evening hours, at least some evening hours. And you know, I know that you started first Thursday, and that was the beginning of, that's your first Thursday this summer. And I think some of the businesses have stayed open late on Thursdays. And that's, you know, the other community that we talked about, JP, that's really how their first Thursday started, was we were working with them and we were trying to get them, some of the businesses, to stay open at least one night a week. And businesses were open one night a week, but this one was open Wednesday, and this one was open Thursday, and this one opened a different night. And so we were trying to get some coordination. And the first Thursday event really started to coalesce that idea. And so the first year, a few people opened up on Thursday, a little bit more, and then that's kind of continued. And so, you know, that might be something to kind of think about now to test, because no business owner wants to, you know, all of a sudden just pay staff to stay open if they don't think it's going to be worth it. But I think kind of a coordinated effort, a marketing effort, there might be, you know, some opportunities there. The other thing is, I noticed that a lot of the businesses don't have posted hours in downtown. And people like to see that. I just saw a study recently that they said the number one thing people visit a website for is to find out when businesses are open. So you don't want to miss that opportunity when they're in downtown to know when you're open. This is not from Wakefield, but I just wanted to show you an example. This is actually not an expensive renovation, but it opened up the front of the store. It's much more attractive, much more open, much more transparent. The paper signs are down, and it's a big improvement. So I think the idea, this whole idea of strengthening the interface between the street and inside, you know, making it open and airy and bringing liveliness from the outside in is important. This is in another community. This is a restaurant. Can you tell whether it's open or closed? No idea, right? It looks closed. This is the same community a few doors down. So which restaurant would you rather go to? Right? It's very clear, the one on the right, it looks very inviting, it's open, a lot of interaction, and they're both open. They were both open when I took these pictures, but it's just a big difference. So sometimes you don't think about it, that you close your blinds all the time, but it creates a dead spot from the outside of the store. Wakefield businesses should give customers a reason to shop bricks and mortar. And that's not just downtown Wakefield. That's all of our bricks and mortar stores, right? So the trend is people are buying more and more online. Delivery is getting faster and faster. We're getting next day delivery. In some places we're getting same day delivery. So it's so easy for people to shop online. To maintain our customer base, we have to really think about how we can, first of all, our customer mix, maybe have more experiential things that don't compete online. And the retailers that do compete online, have it be more experiential, have tastings, have demonstrations, personalized customer service, offer services that they can't get online. But that's the only way we're going to be able to kind of keep the clientele coming to bricks and mortar. So that's something to think about. Encouraging residential development. So we're seeing a lot of Massachusetts towns go in this direction to think about having more businesses, more people live in and near the downtown. That brings more customers in, and it also brings 24-hour, 7-day-a-week vitality into an area. The new Galvin School, that might increase the desirability of living near downtown, and it's just something to think about. A lot of our downtowns in Massachusetts are encouraging mixed-use development and residential development. They think it makes it more vibrant, more eyes on the street, make it safe, and there's more customers, kind of a built-in customer base there. And the thing about downtowns, people want to go where people already are. So the places that are vibrant, the places have people, everybody wants to go to those places. So encouraging residential development is a step in that direction because there's already people there. There's already people on the street. The establishment of Wakefield Main Streets, which is not so young anymore, another year under their belt, you know, so this is, you know, I'm saying it's a great step in the right direction a year ago, and now they've done lots of things and made lots of good progress. The Arts Collaborative, and I'm not sure if that's a new organization or I just didn't know about that before, but a lot of great organizations and a great progress. And I think, you know, if I could just leave you with something, I worked in a lot of downtowns, and one thing to think about is that it takes a lot of tugboats to bring the ship in. And a lot of organizations and a lot of partners and a lot of associations. So partnering is really helpful to create partners with lots of different organizations and people in town to do get on the same page about maintaining a vibrant downtown and creating partnerships, because it's too much for one organization to do, it's too much for one person to do, and so, you know, making sure that you branch out and talk to merchants and property owners and involve them in your planning and use them as a force to help you do activities, do work, make improvements in downtown. And I think also thinking about the younger generation and making sure that they're in the mix, and that as we are planning and looking at downtowns, everybody doesn't look like me with the reading glasses and, you know, the older generation, but we are thinking about young families and young professionals and people, and what do they want to see in downtown, because they're the ones that are coming up and they're the next generation. And they know about things like escape rooms and, you know, things that we might not know about. The last one here I have, you know, this is from a year ago, and maybe we've made some progress. I'm not sure, but when we were talking with the Downtown Task Force, that was something that came up that was important to continue to work towards getting funding for streetscape improvements. And there's been some funding, I guess, allocated, but I think working towards that. And with that, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here again. I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Mayo, and we've got a little bit of time to have some questions, and then we've got Amanda that's going to come and talk a little bit.
Can everybody hear me if I don't use the microphone? Okay. I think, in sitting here, thank you very much, Jay. What I'd like to do, maybe, if it's okay, unless I'm shouted down, is to have...
Use the mic, please.
Use the mic, okay. That's why I asked. Is that better? Okay. What I'd like to do, unless anybody has a great objection, is to have Amanda give her presentation, and then have questions at the end, because there may be things that will overlap. Is that all right with everybody? Sure. Great, great. Before, Amanda, while you're coming up here, let me introduce you. We are very happy to have Amanda Chism here from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. She is a Chief Economic Development Planner, and she has been working with us. We were lucky enough to get a grant through the MAPC to work on the development of this, I call it a cultural corridor, and Selectman Donaco tells me I confuse people when I say that. So really working to bring the arts and culture and commerce together to work in this, to work and help develop the downtown. But we're very lucky to have Amanda. She's had a number of great meetings and gave me a few tips on how to plan better for these meetings, and I really appreciate it. Amanda is a graduate of Notre Dame, so we have Notre Dame and Syracuse here tonight, also a master's at Tufts. You guys couldn't get into Georgetown, huh? Is that what you're telling me? And she just had her second baby 2 days ago, so doesn't she look great? No, she looked great. She had her second baby, second boy recently, and we're thrilled to have her, so Amanda Chism. Thank you, Amanda.
Great. Can you guys hear me okay here? Okay. So I do not have a formal presentation. I'm actually here just to kind of make an announcement about the project. We're having a kickoff meeting in a couple of weeks, and just to give you guys a little bit of background in terms of what we're doing. So Peg mentioned there's really a cultural and sort of arts emphasis to a lot of the recommendations in the market study. So we really want to take off on that and really capitalize on some of the momentum, not only those recommendations, but what's been happening in the past year. So we have a couple members of the Albion Cultural Exchange Committee here, and they've been doing a lot of great work. I just want to acknowledge them for some of the pop-up events that have been going on, the First Thursdays, all of the art events that have happened out of the Albion Cultural Exchange building, which is located on the corner of Albion Street, for those of you who may not be familiar. So we're really looking to that building as sort of an anchor for this study and trying to expand and build on that momentum to look broadly at the whole corridor along Albion Street. There's already some great existing art studios, not only on that street but downtown, and to really elevate what's already here, to map those cultural assets, show people what you already have, connect those communities, and then to really come up with strategies for how to really make that a destination. So a lot of what Peg was saying is that experience is so important. It's so important to be able to attend events, to really activate the streetscape and storefronts. And there's a really great opportunity to really focus on culture and arts as a way to do that. So we do have a kickoff meeting coming up, and we really want to hear from all of you, not only from what you're already enjoying and what you see as the potential vision and future for this corridor, but also, what's the appetite for additional arts and cultural uses. And the event is on November 17th. I have flyers. I will pass those around and make sure they're available when you're leaving tonight. And all my information is on there as well. I'll leave cards outside. So if you have questions before, please let me know. And we really want to make sure this is an engaging process. We want to hear from as many people as possible. So if you can't make the event, at the event we're actually launching an online survey. We'll distribute that. We want to hear from anyone who can respond to that as well. And then hope to do a couple other engaging events at some of the already events that are going on, like the holiday stroll. We're hoping to do something there to hear from folks as well. So lots of opportunities. If you can't make it to anything, give me a call, shoot me an email. So we're really excited to be doing this, and I hope that you guys are also excited, and just let me know if you need more information. All right.
Great, thank you, Amanda. Now, for the next hour or so, I'd like to turn it over to the audience, and you can ask questions, make comments. As you're gathering then, maybe I'll ask Selectman Giannaco to maybe be microphone, if you don't mind. You didn't know when you were in about this stuff. A couple of people to recognize while you're getting ready for your questions. And why don't we have Amanda and Peg come up here, so questions may be for you. Our town planner, Paul Revis, is here tonight. Paul, if you would come down here, there's maybe some questions you're going to answer as well. A couple of other, town engineer Mike Collins. Mike, you can come down if you want, or you could stay. Jim McBain from the Board of Appeals is here tonight. Anybody else on the Board of Appeals? Nothing, okay. Matt Lowry and Bill Spalding from the Planning Board, and Chris Fowley. Billy DeMori, did I miss anybody? No, that's good there. Marion Cohen from the Chamber of Commerce. There's been a great synergy with the Chamber of Commerce, and a lot of the items that Peg talked about, we've actually been working on with them. Catherine McDonald, our Assistant Library Director, and I think Sharon Gilly as well, our Library Director, is here, a critical part of our downtown. I will note that that's 800 people a day that come into the library. So we're not going to look to cut your budget because it's only 800 a year, so I couldn't let that go by. Bob McLaughlin is helping us with the filming tonight. And I want to thank Tom Bankert from the school department for helping us out. Did I miss anybody? No, we also have people from Main Street's program, Bob DeBella. So questions. That's what we're here for, questions and participation. So please raise your hand, we'll get you a microphone. This woman right in the front, wait till we give you a microphone, okay? Just so, we're gonna tape it so people at home can hear it. That's why.
Hi.
If you press the button, it should be green.
It should be, it's not.
Press it and hold it.
I have no stage lights.
Press the left side.
Okay, Kathleen Sharp, about a 2.5-year resident of Pleasant Street, so I'm looking at, in Wakefield, so I'm looking at this as a new resident. One of the things that I'm wondering about listening to all of this is how are we going to welcome and, trying to not say take advantage of, but the tremendous burst of people who arrive with Brightview. There'll be a lot of people living there, a lot of people working there, a lot of people visiting there. And I'm interested in knowing how the institutions in Wakefield are planning to wrap them into the community and to, frankly, take advantage of the tremendous burst of people from elsewhere who will be right downtown with money. And where the hell are they going to park?
Okay, I promise tonight will not be go into a discussion about parking. But they do have parking on site.
No, I
Okay.
understand that, because it is true that
Parking is an issue where we are struggling with in the downtown. I can't lie. We will continue to work on that. I am looking forward to having a lot of people. There is a lot of independent living in there too. That's something that we wanted in the mix, and I'm hoping that they'll go to the library and go to the stores and go to Zuzu's and go to Cravings and go to Creations, and hopefully they'll be walking. Experience in those types of buildings have been that there aren't, there aren't that many cars as for residents as there are, in a regular apartment building. I'm frankly looking forward to that. Do I have a concrete plan? I can't say that I do, other than that they have parking on site, and we are looking to other areas in town to create some niches for parking. Stay tuned. Yeah, no. That's a valid point.
This is a burst of money.
Yeah.
And a burst of people, and I'm thinking that a community.
And I'm hoping that'll be a burst of business for the people downtown. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll be working with them, but thank you. That's on our radar. Does the town planner, Paul, do you have anything you want to add to that?
The building, when it was approved by the zoning board of appeals, it's on. When it was approved by the zoning board of appeals, they amended their plan and created a pedestrian access to Main Street. It's right beside Sabatino's, between the UU Church and Sabatino's. So that'll be a pedestrian entrance and a way for people that live there and visit there to access Main Street and the businesses on Main Street.
But then they'll have to be ready for that, right? I mean, to appeal to that particular, actually fairly broad population.
Good points.
It's a real burst.
I know that we've been talking to Brightview about having actually job fairs, and I'll call it because we get a lot of calls about people that already want to register to move there, and people looking for jobs. So that's another thing that they've gone through this before in other communities, so we'll be working with them too to take advantage of that. So thank you for the question.
This weekend was a highly successful event with the haunted happenings, and I'm trying to understand the difference between what's happening with the Wakefield merchants and what happens with the event planning committee, and how those things, how they either coordinate, or as we develop more things like this. It's funny, talking about National Fluff Day or whatever it is, and it pops into my mind. I'm like, aren't we the people in Wakefield? Don't we make those airplanes, the paper airplanes?
Maybe Gwillow Day.
I'm like, don't we need to take advantage of that and have a giant paper or wooden airplane day? But
I think you're going to run the Gwillow Day, okay? So.
But I'm curious to know the events that are happening within the town. How are those coordinated across the different groups?
Well, I'll start in with the haunted happenings, and then Selectman Dinoco, who is chair of the events planning, can jump in as well. We have, working with the chamber and with the downtown merchants, they actually created a new group, and they felt that they wanted downtown merchants talking to downtown merchants. This was really through the downtown merchants themselves, which was really great from my perspective, that they wanted to take ownership, so to speak, of this. So they got together with, we've been doing a Fright Night or a pumpkin festival. What do we call that, Fright Night too? Fright Night, and then that has evolved into, there's a lot of student movies that they show that are for more of the older kids. So, the Fright Night kind of merged into this trick-or-treating thing where a lot of kids on that Thursday night in the dark were in the downtown, kind of darting across Main Street. It was really quite fearful. And as this got more popular and more people came down, you know, we were always worried about that. But the group of merchants got together and said they wanted to expand that, really the experience of the entire weekend. So the merchants group got together with the chamber and dovetailed off of Fright Night and said, hey, what if we did something on, what about Saturday and Sunday? And Saturday, I think more of the restaurants, did some stuff, and we actually have a restaurant group with the chamber now, or the chamber does have a restaurant group. And Haunted Happenings was really the merchants that did that on Sunday. So I think the events planning committee took a sigh of relief that we weren't putting another big event on them. And I think it worked out really well. First time out, I think there were 8,000 people. And it was nice to have something really catered to some of the younger kids too. And I think that's maybe why we didn't have so many kids trick-or-treating Monday night, which was actually much better all around for us. So you're right, we have a lot of groups that are working for the same goal. What we'll try to do is try to get them really to work together. And certainly in this instance,
Perfect way that the event expanded. Because what we really want to do with events is get as much out of them as possible. So that's what you do with tourist economic development. You get people to come first, then you get people to stay longer. So they always, that's Las Vegas, right? People used to come for gaming, but then they realized, okay, they were missing a whole big part of the population, the spouses that didn't game. So they had to have entertainment, they had to have things for the kids, right? And so I think with downtown events, well, if you're gonna make all this fuss about Halloween, extend it to the weekend. And make sure, Halloween is a perfect example because sometimes that happens at a time when a lot of the businesses might not be open. But if you find a way to extend it through the weekend. And I think your point was really well founded that to make sure, right, that every time you have downtown events that groups are coordinating. First of all, you want to have competing events, but also you want to make sure that the events are really economic development events. That they're really about, promoting and making more, more sales for businesses downtown, promoting the town, getting more out of them. I'll just, a little word of caution, what's happened in some of the downtowns we've worked in, events can kind of take on a life of their own and be very popular, but the downtown can sometimes just become a venue. It's just a place where the event is held. And that's not what you want to do here. You want to bring events so that it cements the relationship between the residents and the downtown, so it brings more businesses in, and it really has economic impact. So not that it's just a place to have an event, but it's really like a coordination with the merchants and the business owners.
How do you avoid that? How do you avoid just becoming a venue?
the question was, how do we avoid just becoming a venue?
I can talk pretty loud. Big family. Okay. Well, I think one thing is that always ensure that with every event, that downtown vibrancy is one of the goals. You could actually almost institute that. And every event, every cultural event, every group that holds an event downtown, that they agree that increasing downtown vibrancy would be one of their goals. And then they have to think about how do they connect their event with downtown businesses. Simple things like, you've got so many races coming to the lake, like all these different races and events and whatnot. Well, maybe there should be, if you get a permit from the town to have one of those events, maybe you have to have, I don't know, something, advertising for downtown businesses. Maybe you have to have the finish line in downtown. Maybe you have to, there's a dedicated revenue stream, there's a fee and it goes to downtown. But, you could kind of think about like a policy that went across all activities to at least so that the event putter-oners, sponsors, or producers, right, would think about that. Because that would affect when the event is held, how it's promoted, how it's connected, but to just think that, we're really trying to do this as an economic development activity for our town. Maybe that means a preference for local vendors. For local folks, that not everything is coming in from out of town, that we're trying to promote what's local, we're trying to buy local, we're trying to increase employment opportunities local, even with events, because we're trying to promote what's here. So just, that kind of thing.
What about like a registration desk at a downtown storefront? If you've got a race, you come there to register.
Yep.
And it's in the downtown, not up at the head of the lake.
Anything that brings the events, into the area.
behind you, Paul, there was a question?
I wanted to speak to that very issue before you brought it up now about